Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to these Friday sessions of ATA News, where we look at the news of the renewable energy industry and decarbonization industries. And we put them in a short video for you, and I get the honor of doing that. And today, as you can see here, we talk about LCOE, because I have a question for you. When it comes to LCOE, do you think it is a good strategy to keep judging renewable energy by only one metric, the metric of levelized cost of electricity, or LCOE? Or has it come to a point where LCOE has gone past its usefulness? This is kind of what we're going to be talking about today, but we're talking about this issue in light of something that actually happened in the industry, which is the tender in Chile. So the second question that we're trying to answer today is whether it's possible to deliver dispatchable renewable energy or 24/7 renewable energy at 14.84 US dollars per kilowatt hour. So $14 with 84 cents per kilowatt hour. These are the two questions that we're going to try to answer today. So let me start with LCOE. Okay, so LCOE as a metric is something that we've used a lot and is work great for renewable energy, because very, very soon, as time passed, we were able to get it really low, and it looks great for renewable energy. Right now is the cheapest of all the energies there are. I mean, maybe if you exclude coal, with all the externalities out of the cost. However, there is only one thing that LCOE measures, and the thing that it measures is just cost. That's it, of a unit of energy, in the lifetime of the plant. Doesn't measure it when it's delivered, how it's delivered, what type of power is delivered, whether it's delivered at a time when it's needed. Hence, if you keep on adding more and more variable renewable energy, what you get into a situation is that, in the spot market, you're going to trend towards zero, because it comes to a point where if the power is not needed, then, you actually creating more power is not helping anyone. So it also doesn't help the grid. The grid requires extra services when there is no spinning reserves, when there is no firmness, when there is no flexibility, or the grid is not able to dispatch. So therefore, even though we're not really measuring it in the same bucket, what we're doing is having a much more weaker grid as a result of it. So this is why, I'd like to talk about LCOE today. Let me change just the slides. So as of late, we've had a few, let me just hide this, institutions that have looked into this, into how to actually come up with better metrics or other metrics or new metrics that can actually also measure the other value that certain energies add to the grid that just variable renewable doesn't. Like I said a few before, spinning reserves, flexibility, dispatchability, and many other things. So there is this paper, by the Unreal at the beginning of the year for competitiveness metrics for electricity systems technologies, and there is also new ones, a relative value framework. Why do different electricity system technologies have different economic value? And this is actually very, very recent. It's come out like a couple of weeks ago, as you can see. So here also another one, a hybrid approach to estimating the economic value of power system resilience. And I think it's more important than ever for us to consider, why LCOE perhaps to a very large extent has the value that it had is, we ran out of it. We need to move on now. And the reason why I mainly want to talk about this is in light of what you're seeing now on the screen, which is the tenders, the economic tenders received in this specific tender in Chile that we've seen now. So let me tell you a little bit more about this tender. There was 3 blocks. The first block was between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. And you can see here the results, and you can see that actually they're very, very cheap. Some of the tenders came out to 13 cents, and this is from 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. Just a little bit more than 13 cents, and the maximum that's actually been going into this tender. So there was, let me just check exactly to tell you. Just one sec. This is a little bit tricky because I'm changing back and forth with things. So they were tendering a total of, I'm looking, I can't find the total here. I don't have it handy, sadly. But there was a lot of gigawatts hour that they were tendering. I'm going to put it in my show notes so that you can see it. And there was three blocks. One that went from 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. The second block that went from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that was during the day. This is easy enough. And then another one that went from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Okay, so presumably the difficult ones are to fill are the 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. because you need to be thinking about at least some storage, because you may have, if you have a hybridization of wind and storage, perhaps you can manage it, but can you rely on that? Otherwise, you need to be thinking about how to produce this with solar and storage. So from 11 to 8 is really the block, which is block A, that I think shows the best how companies think that they can deliver power literally at night. And you have here Canadian Solar, OPD, or OPDE, which thinks that they can deliver at 22, just under 22. Then San Andres at 25, then Sonedix at 26, and Canadian Solar again here at 26, and Reco Energy at 32. So these are the, I think, never seen before prices that we've seen for this tender that have caught people by surprise. Why? Because no one was really expecting such low prices in this tender that was very specific time structure, so that you could get this off taking of energy, but only on these specific time slots. And the interesting thing about the time slots, if you look at this, is that the price doesn't change that much. I mean, these guys here, the first line that you can see, they think that from 11 to 8 they can deliver at pretty much the same price that they're delivering during the day. So my question is, how are you doing this? There has to be some sort of crop subsidizing here, or how are you going to be able to manage this? Anyway, how the tender finished is that Canadian Solar ended up with 200 gigawatt hour per year. All in all, here it is 2,310 gigawatt hour year that they were tendering, and 200 of this, so 10%, was taken by Canadian Solar with PV and storage. They don't say anything on what technology of storage this is. This is important to understand. Okay, so we don't know what technology, but the average price of adjudication was 14.84. And this is for a 24-hour slot, essentially, because you've seen them across the three blocks. Then OPDE actually won a lot more than them, if you can see 4 times more. And their price was 21.27. And this is a combination of PV and wind. Also, a question mark to me is that how are you going to, because you are saying through this tender, you're saying, I am going to deliver energy 24/7 without interruption at this price. How? With solar and with PV and wind, how are you going to do this? Then Parque Eólico San Andrés comes at 25.2, Sonedix at 26.8, just with solar PV, and Reco Energy at 31.4 with again solar PV and wind. Now let me just check. And the block one, block one between 11 and 8, you've got Sonedix here, for example, with 286 gigawatts. At 26.8 during the night, and then later on here, it turns out that the energy is PV. So you see the issue. Now that people are tendering for blocks of time where they cannot possibly deliver this power from the source that it says here. But I'm going to put a but in here because it's a big but. What you have to understand is in Chile, you don't have to say anything about the technology. You can literally use whichever technology you like. It does not matter if you create a project, if you already have a project that has a coal project that is fully amortized, a hydro project, if you have literally a mouse running on a wheel, it does not matter. Once you win the rights to that tariff, you have the rights to produce that power. It's up to you how you do it. Whether you go in the market and you buy it from someone else, It's not a problem. And the power is, it starts in 2026 and it will be delivered for 15 years. So there is a lot of guesswork, projections, risk appetite moved into this. So there has been cases in tenders 10 plus years ago where companies won slots that, as the price has come down, because the price in Chile of energy like a decade ago was around the 150, 160 mark and is now more closer to the 30 to 40 mark. So these companies didn't even build anything. What they're doing now is they're buying power from the spot market and selling it at a huge premium, and they're making a killing with it. They haven't had to move a finger other than to buy this power directly and then to resell it. This is allowed. It doesn't matter. Your job is to deliver the power. Where you take it from, no issue. Second thing to understand about the market in Chile is that it's from 2026, it's for 15 years. So technology does not play a role. The age of the asset does not play a role. We're not measuring any of these things here. Now, of course, coming out, looking at these prices, you can say, wow, it's absolutely amazing. The prices are super low. People in Chile are going to create these low prices, good for them. And the tendering process has worked great for Chile. I want you to understand that. I mean, a decade ago, they were at 160 when they were importing 98% of their energy. So things have changed really quickly thanks to the fact that they've been tinkering with the tendering process and they got it here. But the fact that it's all blind other than LCOE is starting to show in things like now. Now you're looking at this, you're seeing amazing prices, but the question is, can this power be delivered at this price? Or are you going to run into the situation of an unsustainable model that ends up plummeting? The ceiling falls on top of the people running it because they have been unrealistic about the bids that they themselves made. Because if you have to keep losing money for 15 years, for a bid that you did like 10 years ago, believe me, you're not going to do it. You're going to go bankrupt before you can actually fulfill that power, which is going to create a lot of problems for the system and for the grid. Then there is also the fact that we're already seeing some faults in the system. This summer, in certain specific areas, because the hydro reserves were low and the gas prices were high, prices hacked up to 185 at specific time slots because there was nothing to do other than burning diesel. If you're burning diesel, if you're overusing gas, you are not tackling the full problem that you have with climate change. So there is a lot of things going on in here that need to be studied properly, because perhaps LCOE has outlived its usefulness, and we need to really start paying attention to all of these institutions that are coming out and saying, hey, how about we think of different metrics? So this is just a reflection to you of whether you think, and you see this metric to be useful. And also about Chile, whether you think that 14.84 it's enough to deliver, even though it's only a small sliver of the power that was tendered in Chile. And, it's very attractive because it's so low. But actually, the average price, or the price that most of the power is going to be delivered for this time slot, is like almost twice as much, okay? So continuing here, just taking the opportunity to say, guys that run the tenders in Chile, perhaps we like to see more diversity in metrics, not only LCOE, and also more diversity in genders. And maybe next time we can see like a little bit more diversity and some women there present. So next, I'd like to also talk, this is my last slide, guys, and I'd like to talk about what also happened in this tender that was really, really important. And this is what you can see here is a satellite image of Cerro Dominador, which is a CSP project that is like literally a 24 hours plant. And you can see the PV that is on the sides and then the CSP in the center. And what is amazing, and this is an image that is from the Ministry of Energy. You can see that at the top, and they published it in their social media. But I wanted to show it here because this project was built 10 years ago, was tendered rather 10 years ago, give or take. I don't know exactly the year. And the price of the tariff at the time was 115. which it was an amazing price. I want you to understand at the time the energy was not any lower than 150, 160. No one could have predicted that the cost of energy, through twinkling with the tendering and the fact that technology has come such a long way, would change so much. Anyway, the bottom line is that this project was built, is delivering power now, and is delivering power very successfully and very firmly and very dispatchably into the grid. But the interesting thing is they've just tendered at this, they sent a bid for this tender. They didn't manage to make it, but the tender was 33.99. 33.99 US dollars kilowatt hour. This is how much this technology has come down. And this technology, it is 100% renewable. This technology is 100% reliable. This technology is 100% firm. It does give all the values of spinning reserves that the grid needs. And it's really cheap. It's literally $2 difference from the last one that it came out on the tender. This would have made a huge difference to Chile grid. It will make a huge difference to Chile grid. So we need to open our eyes. We need to start thinking what else is out there that we need to pay attention to, because LCOE is simply not enough. So I like to say, well done and good. It's a good benchmark that we've managed to get here for the guys in the CSP energy here, because at only 7 gigawatts, not even of deployment, they've managed to come down hugely. Is a half from the last project that is currently being built in Digua. So it's absolutely amazing how much it's come down, but it comes with all of the extra added, and the batteries and storage industries are coming out and saying, hey, you got to pay for grid. You got to pay for grid value added services. And yes, we have to pay for them, because we're going to have to pay them separately, because we don't consider them part of the same. So we're only looking for one thing, LCOE. This is what gets us headlines, is what gets pats in the backs for the politicians, but you're literally kicking forward the stone that is becoming larger and larger if you kick it forward, and the grid is going to be the worse off for it. So anyway, I'm going to put all of this in LinkedIn, so you can read it with more time, and you can also see the newsletter that goes into a lot more detail. But I hope that you have found it interesting. What I know for sure is there is a before and an after of this tender in Chile, because the price differentials have come so low, so much lower than we were expecting, that really I think we need to rethink the way that we understand energy. Anyway, thank you very much for your attention, and we'll see you next week. Bye.